take a comfortable seat on your mat. That might be sitting cross-legged or might be using a block to create a little more freedom and space for your back. And if seated isn't comfortable, come and lay all the way down on your back. And then once you found a comfortable seat, take the time to really find the fronts of your sitting bones, walking your sitting bones back behind you and creating a little more steady base of support so that you're continuing to bring support to your low back while allowing it to find its natural curve. And then once you feel steady and grounded, let your eyes close and start to turn the focus of your attention to your breath. As you breathe, first let your breath find its own natural rhythm and pace without pushing or pulling. And then as you get more connected to that movement of inhale and exhale, start to let each exhale help you to connect down a little more firmly, down, rooting towards the earth. To let each inhale help you to extend a little more freely up through the crown of your head. So that by allowing the energy of your breath to move your body, you start to create a sense of support and space inside your body. Balance between the opposites of grounding down and rising up. Let that feeling of space on the inside help your body to find a place where the shoulders feel like they rest comfortably on top of the support of your center. And where your hips, the muscles of your legs, feel like that steady center allows for freedom and connection down into the earth. Then give yourself another 3 or 4 deep, full inhales and complete exhales here. When you feel like you're ready, let your eyes gently open. Moving to warm up the shoulders, bring your hands forward and interlace your fingers. Turn the palms away from you and reach out through your arms. As you extend the arms forward, let that help you to draw your ribs back so that you're broadening across the back body. Then bringing your focus to your core, to the center of the body, hug in a little with the outer hips and lift your back ribs up away from the mat so that you're rooting down actively through your sitting bones. And notice how that changes both the stretch across your shoulders and upper back and the feeling of support and connection in the center of your body. Keeping that connection, continuing to keep the rib cage, softening back, the back ribs rising up. Start to lift up through your heart and chest. Draw the shoulders back without letting the ribs move forward. And let the arms rise up towards the sky. As you extend the palms up, root the sitting bones down so that you're using this alignment you've created through the center of the body, not just to release into the shoulders, but to help your spine create a little more length and space. Continuing to keep that support from center, lean your upper body a little bit over towards the right, grounding down into the left sitting bone, breathing deeply here into the sides of the lungs, expanding the side body. Rise back up towards center, go in the other direction, root down into the right hip, the upper body move over towards the left. Continuing to use that connection here into the center of the body to root the right hip down towards the ground. Release back up and rotate the upper body towards the right. As you release towards the side, let your hands come down, letting that left hand rest onto the right knee. Right hand move back behind you. Hug in with the legs here, broaden across the low back, zipping up through your belly. And let that support help you to turn from the ribs and the upper body. Keeping the left hand on the right knee, let the right hand rise up, grounding down into the right sitting bone. Lean back towards the left. As you bring the stretch again into the side body, notice how here the stretch happens more through the lower part of the sideways. Rise back up, soften back towards the front of your mat. Taking that same cycle to the other side, this time as you interlace your hands, take the opposite thumb on top. Reach out through the palms. Again, as you reach forward, draw the ribs back, and then take the time to align and bring space through the back. Hug in with the outer hips, broaden the sitting bones. You should feel the top of your sacrum draw in and up, and your back ribs rise as you bring a little more connection to your core. Keeping that support, lift your heart and chest. Let the shoulders move back without letting the ribs move forward, and reach up and out through the palms. As you breathe, see if you can allow each exhale to move from the bottom of your lungs up towards the top so that you're continuing to keep a deep sense of support and connection from your center. And let each exhale broaden across your back and across your collarbones, using that power to create space. Grounding down into the left hip, into the right hip, lean the upper body over towards the left, broadening through the sides of the ribs all the way up towards the shoulders. Make your way back up to center, grounding down into the left hip, take the upper body over towards the right. Come back up to vertical, taking the twist in the opposite direction. Turn the upper body towards the left. Let the hands release down. Use your hands here to ground down so that you can lengthen up through the spine, down through the sitting bones. And then resist the tendency to pull with the arms. See if you can turn more from the ribs, from the strength of your center, so that you're providing more support for your spine and softening into the twist. Bringing the stretch to the lower part of the side waist. Ground down through the left sitting bone. The right hand rise up. Again, left hand rise up. And again, lean towards the right. Use the connection down here through the left sitting bone to help expand through the side of the waist, the outer edge of the hip, even up into the back. And come back to center, softening back towards the front of the mat. And then from seated, make your way all the way up to standing. As you come to stand, make your way up to the top of the mat. Ground down through the legs. And as you let the feet settle, see if you can connect up from the arches of the feet and down from your low ribs and your outer hips through the three corners of the feet, the center of the heel, the base of the pinky toe, the base of the big toe. Taking time to really use the connection of your feet and your legs to help your body feel light, grounded through the legs, but extended up towards the sky. Moving with your breath, with your exhale, spiral in, looking towards your belly, letting the shoulders move forward and the ribs back. Hugging in with the outer hips, use your inhale to lift and lengthen. Soften the shoulders back without losing the ribs. With your exhale, spiral your way in. Think about lifting the back ribs here and rooting down through the bones of the legs. With your inhale, keep that groundedness through the lower body and extend up through the upper body, using your inhale breath to broaden the collarbones as the shoulders glide back. With your exhale, spiral in. This time adding on, draw up from the arches of the feet through the inner thighs, all the way up through your heart, and finally extend up and out through your fingertips. Hugging in towards center to broaden out through your low back and your inner thighs, come all the way down into a forward fold. Bend your knees as much as you need to here, working the legs towards straight or softening them more deeply as supports your back. With your inhale, lengthen forward, half flat back. With your exhale, bow and fold. 2 more times. With your inhale, reach back through the heels. As you extend out long, maybe your hands come to the knees. It's a little sweeter for the back. Maybe your fingers stay down on the ground. And as you exhale, draw up from your quads, from your glutes, all the way towards the low ribs, zipping up through your belly as you fold. One final time as you inhale, reach the heels back and apart to make more space and support for your back. As you exhale, let your belly button rise in and up and help you lengthen your spine down. And bring your hands to your hips, continuing to reach back through the heels. Come all the way to standing. Release your hands with your exhale. Spiral your way in. With your inhale, use that lift through the center line of the body from the arches all the way up towards the crown of the head to help you extend out of the roots of your feet. As you exhale, bow and fold. Use your inhale to lengthen. See if you can send your breath across the space of the back so that you stay aware and aligned through center. And as you exhale, fold your way back down and in. Bring your hands to your hips. Inhale to rise. With your exhale, spiral in. With your inhale, grow out of that support. As you fold, keep reaching the heels back and apart to keep the femur bones grounding back. With your inhale, lengthen long. And this time, bring your hands down to the mat. Walk your feet back, downward facing dog. As you find your down dog, press your hands firmly down into the mat to lift the bones of your arms from your wrists all the way up into the shoulders, up towards the sky. And press down into the toes to reach your heels and your hips up high so that there's a lot of support for your back to lengthen. And then broaden across your collarbones. Lift through the inner shoulders so that you're making space around the base of the neck. Keeping that space, make your way forward to plank. Hug the hands in, but broaden the collarbones apart. And with your exhale, use the strength of the center to lift the hips up and back, working to keep the shoulders broad and spacious. 2 more times. Inhale your way forward to plank. Exhale back, downward facing dog. 1 more time. As you glide forward, reach actively back through the legs, forward through your heart, your chest, the crown of your head. And keeping that length, slide back, broadening through the collarbones, lifting through the armpits. 1 more time. Make your way forward to plank. This time, either with the knees up or the knees down, come all the way to the mat. As you come down, point the toes towards the back. Click all 10 toenails down into the ground and hug in with the outer hips to broaden across the low back. Following your breath, ground down through your hands, draw the shoulders towards your ears, lifting them towards the sky. With your inhale, curl your way up, coming only as high as is comfortable for you. And with your exhale, soften and release. 2 more times. As you inhale and rise, see if you can click the pinky toenails down to keep your back spacious. And as you exhale, soften and release. 1 more time. As you inhale and curl up, draw in a little through your belly to keep your back long. As you exhale, make your way back down to the mat. And tuck your toes. Take the hips back up. Downward facing dog. Give yourself 3 or 4 deep, full breaths here. If you like, you can start to work the legs towards straight, putting the toes down, reaching the heels towards the back of the mat. So you're continuing to keep your legs active, thigh bones grounding back as you reach your heels towards the ground, as you work your legs towards straight. And at the bottom of your exhale, walk your feet back up to the top of the mat. Come back to a forward fold. Moving the upper body towards the right and the left. Hug in with the legs, activating the inner thighs, pressing the heels back and apart, grounding through the big toes. Walk your upper body towards the right. As you move the upper body to the side, keep reaching that left hip towards the back, pressing that left heel towards the left to expand into the outer hips. Make your way back to center, and keeping the legs strong, take the upper body towards the left. Again, as you work into the other side, keep reaching that right hip back, that right heel out towards the right to expand into the outer hip. Then make your way back into center. Bring your hands to your hips and come all the way back up to standing. Use your exhale to spiral your way in. Zip up through your belly here, broadening through the low back. Keeping the back broad, that support from your center. Rise up through the heart and chest. Let the shoulders glide back so you take the arms to the sky. Bow and fold on your exhale. Use your inhale to lengthen out long, drawing the shoulders, the side body away from the hips. And bring the hands down, keeping that space. Walk back, down dog. Rise up through the shoulders, reach back through the hips and the tops of the thighs. Come forward to plank. As you lower towards the mat, think about pulling the floor towards you so that you engage into the back body. This time, as you point the toes towards the back, as you align through the legs and the hips, interlace your hands back behind you. As you clasp, get long through the back body, drawing the front ribs in, letting the back ribs rise away from the hips. And moving with your breath, use your inhale to rise, and your exhale to release. 2 more times. Last one. Release the hands. And when you're ready, place the palms. Make your way back, downward facing dog. See if you can connect to the arches of your hands and the arches of your feet here. Let the places where you connect to the earth get more active so that you can draw energy up from the hands and the feet into the center of the body. Then use that energy to expand. Reach long through the crown of the head. Let the hips move up and back. Again, if it feels good, maybe start to extend the legs, reaching the hips back. And stretching into the side body. Walk the feet all the way together to touch. Turn the toes towards the right, the heels towards the left, so that you're rotating the upper body, the lower body away from the upper body. And reaching out through the arms, extend up and back through your hips. The feet come back to center. And going to the other side, turn the toes to the left, heels to the right. Maybe the heels come down, maybe they stay lifted. But keep rising up through the shoulders and the armpits, reaching back through the hips. And make your way back to center. Bring the feet all the way to the top of the mat. Let the hands come back behind your hips. As you interlace your fingers, bring a little bend into the elbows. Draw the shoulders towards your ears and float them towards the sky, so the shoulder blades are hugging into the upper back. Get strong with the legs, zip up through the belly, and start to lift the hands away from your hips. As you lift, you'll notice that if you extend the arms all the way, the shoulders want to drop forward. Keep a little bend in the elbows so that you can keep a little more space through the chest, a little more connection into the upper back. Bend into the left knee. Turn your chest towards the right. Ground down, especially into the base of the right big toe and into the center of the heel. And let that connection through the inner foot help you to extend the right hip up and back. Come back to center. Go in the other direction. Turn towards the left, letting the right shoulder, right knee come towards one another. Ground down into the inner edge of the left foot. You'll notice that the weight wants to drop towards the outside, and let that help you to activate the stretch into the outer hip, the outer thigh, working that leg towards straight. Make your way back to center, and reaching back through the heels, back with the arms. Come all the way up to stand. Release your hands. With your exhale, spiral your way in. With your inhale, rise up out of that connection towards center. Take the arms to the sky. Grab a hold of the right wrist with the left hand. Send the hips out towards the right, upper body over towards the left. Look in towards your belly here. Make a balanced effort between front and back body, drawing the front body in to keep the back body a little more broad. Use that to help you extend. Come back up to center. As you switch, send the hips out towards the left, upper body over towards the right. Again, draw the front ribs in a little bit, letting the back ribs rise. Use that to help create a little freedom and space through the back body. And come back up to center and fold your way back down into Tadasana, forward fold. With your inhale, lengthen out long. And bring your hands down, walk back, down dog. Take the time to create space here, using your exhale to reach back through the tops of the thighs and the hips. The inhale to extend and move forward through the shoulders and the arm bones. When you're ready, make your way forward to plank. And with your exhale, come all the way down to the mat. This time working a swimming action with the arms. Take the left arm forward. Let the palm turn towards the center. Let the right hand stay in line with the side of the body. We'll work diagonally across the back here. We'll work lifting with the left arm and the right leg. Hug in towards center. When you're ready, use your inhale to rise, keeping that support for your low back from your core. Soften and release. Glide the left hand back, the right arm forward. You can zip up through center so that your low back feels long. And when you're ready, rise up away from the mat. Release back down. We'll take a couple more cycles. The left arm come forward, right hand come back. Hug in with the outer hips to help you broaden across the sitting bones and the low back. And keep that space as you rise, so that your low back feels supported even as you use your back muscles to lift. Soften and release. Switch back to the second side. Left hand moves back, right arm moves forward. Find that balanced place for the back and the core. When you're ready, rise. Soften and release. One more time. Left arm moves forward. Right hand comes alongside the ribs. So your inhale to rise up. This time we'll stay a little longer. Breathing. Notice whether your tendency is to hold your breath here. See if you can keep your breath flowing. And soften and release. Last time. Left hand moves back. Right arm moves forward. Create space first. And then around that space, rise. And then soften and release. Take a moment just to let your head rest down towards the mat, turning to one cheek or letting your forehead come down to touch the mat. When you're ready, make your way back, down dog. Expanding across the upper back in a twist in down dog, walk your feet forward a little bit. Bend into both knees and lift through the shoulders, really activating the muscles in the upper back. Keeping the muscles across the shoulders, the upper back strong, reach the right hand across and underneath, grabbing for the outer edge of the left heel. Hug in strongly towards center. To go deeper into the twist, start to extend the legs so the left heel reaches down towards the mat. Keep lifting up through the left shoulder here and turn your gaze towards the right, as if you were going to touch your chin to your right shoulder. Gently release. Going to the other side. Again, bend both knees. This time the left hand reaches across for the outer edge of the right heel. Hug in towards center. Find that feeling of support and steadiness across the upper back. And then if you have deeper to go, start to reach the heels down towards the mat, noticing how that draws you deeper into the work of the twist and across the upper back. And if it feels comfortable, turn your gaze looking towards the left shoulder. And gently release. Make your way back to downward facing dog, walking the feet back if you walk them in. At the bottom of the exhale, walk your feet back up to the top of the mat. Come back to a forward fold. Step the right foot back behind the left. As you bring the foot back, cross high up on the legs if you can, bringing the pinky toes in line with one another. And start by grounding the inner edge of the right foot down.
Keep a soft little bend at the right knee so that you can really work deep up into the hips, grounding the femur bone back. And then start to ground the inner edge of the left foot down as well so that the legs are wrapping around one another. Know that the more you shift your weight towards the right, the more intense the stretch will be across the side of the thigh up into the outer hip. Release the feet back to parallel. Going to the other side, cross the left foot back behind the right. Again, as you cross, start by bending a little into the left knee and grounding the inner edge of the left foot down. And then work the inner edge of the right foot down as well, letting it come as much towards the mat as you can. Again, working to find a place where things feel like they're expanding across the outer edge of the hip, but continuing to keep a sense of connection and strength up through the centers of the legs. And bring the feet back to parallel. Come back to a forward fold. And bring the hands to the hips and come all the way up to standing.
Moving towards eagle arms, let the arms come out towards the sides. Cross the left elbow underneath the right. As you twine the arms, maybe it's the back, so the hands that come together, maybe it's only the elbows, maybe the palms come all the way together to touch. As you wrap the arms around one another, let the top elbow ground down into the bottom elbow and lengthen up through the side body so that you can soften the heads of the arm bones back. And as you do that, keep a little connection and strength at the very upper part of your core so that your rib cage doesn't fly forward. From here, we'll move towards a lunge with the arms twined. Step the left foot back. As you step back, have a glance down at the right knee, making sure it's stacked over the ankle, inching the left foot further back if you need. And then hug in with the legs. Use that hugging in, that scissoring action to draw the right hip back so that the hips are square. And reach the left heel up towards the sky. Zipping up through the belly, start to lift up through your heart and chest. Maybe add a little bit of an upper back bend here, lifting the elbows up towards the sky, working your balance. And then softening the elbows back down towards center, release the arms, sweep them up, high lunge. Release the hands down to the mat. Step the left foot forward, come back to a forward fold. And bring the hands to the hips, come all the way up to standing. Let the arms move out towards the sides. This time the right elbow crosses underneath the left. And as you twine the arms, make sure things feel comfortable across the shoulders. If you need to back off, release the clasp of the hands. Make space so that the shoulders feel steady and supported as you invite them to expand. Once you've found a place that feels supported from your center, broad across the shoulders and the upper back, step back with the right foot. Again, as you step back, keep an eye on that left knee, making sure it ends up stacked over the left ankle, and then scissor the legs. As you scissor, let that help you to draw the left hip back and to extend the right heel up towards the sky. Once you've found your balance, continuing to hug the arms towards one another, start to lift up through your chest. As you rise up, draw your belly button in and up. Maybe bend deeper into the front knee if you need a little more challenge, and add a little bit of a back bend. Coming back to center, release the arms, sweep them up. And release your hands down. And this time step back, down dog. Step the right foot forward. Lower the left heel down, taking the back arch in line with the front heel. Hug both feet and shins towards one another so you can send the inner thighs, sitting bones back and apart. And then holding that space, draw up from the muscles of your legs through your glutes into the center of the body. Let that help you to rise up into warrior two. Feel into the balance here between your front body and your back body. Letting that more even work help you to keep your heart light, your legs grounded.
Moving into reverse warrior. Let the left hand move down onto the left leg. The right arm start to rise up towards the sky. As you start to expand through the side body, pause, look towards your belly, and lift the back ribs so that your back body feels broad rather than like it's clenching to support the back bend. And then around that support, lift your heart, reach through your fingers, and ground down into the right heel. Make your way back up to center. Coming forward to Parsvakonasana, bring the right forearm down onto the right thigh. Let the left arm come forward overhead. Hug in with the outer hips here and pull that left foot towards the top of the mat until you feel the left thigh rise a little away from the mat. Around that support and space, extend out in both directions. And release your hands down to the mat. And step back to down dog to switch to the other side. Just as you did on the other side, get active with the feet. Use the way your feet connect to the ground to help move past the way your body moves habitually through the hips and the legs to create a little more space, a little more freedom, both for the hips and for the low back. And once you find a place that feels balanced and strong, rise, make your way up, warrior two. And as you connect with the legs, use that power to stay lifted and light through the upper body. Coming into reverse warrior, right hand moves down to the back leg, left arm moves up towards the sky. Again, as you start to reverse, pause, look towards your belly, lift the back ribs. Notice how that turns on a little deeper support from your center. And then around that support, rise up through your heart and chest and ground down into the left heel. Make your way back up to center. And from your warrior two, bring the left forearm down onto the left thigh. Let the right arm extend out long. Hug in with the outer hips, the outer thighs. Activate the inner thighs here, reaching the sitting bones back and apart, creating that lift for that right leg. And then drawing up and out through the crown of your head, extend out in all directions. And bring your hands down to the mat. Step back, down dog. One more time, bring the right foot forward. Lower the back heel down. This time moving towards triangle pose, let the right forearm come up onto the right thigh. And start to press the right thigh up and the right forearm down until you start to feel the muscles deep in the center of the body connect. And that right hip start to shift a little towards the back as if your thigh were getting longer. We want to use that connection here to help us keep the femur bone grounded as we move towards triangle. You can let the left hand rest on your hip and reaching that right heel towards the left foot, start to extend the right leg. Maybe the leg extends all the way, maybe the knee stays slightly bent, whatever feels best for you, keeping that femur bone grounding back. And then let the right fingers extend down towards the mat. For this variation, the hand will be to the inside of the leg. And take the left arm up towards the sky. Hug in with the outer hips. Use that strength to keep reaching the hips towards the back so that you can extend more freely out through the crown of the head. Take the top arm, reach it out towards the top of the mat as you ground the outer edge of the left hip back and down, reaching the foot towards the mat. Let the arm rise back up, moving towards half moon. Let the left hand come down onto the hip, turn your gaze towards the floor and shift forward, coming to balance on the right foot. Letting the right hand come forward of the pinky toe by maybe 20 or 30 centimeters, grounding into the hand, letting the left leg rise. Engage with the left leg here. Maybe the right knee stays a little bent to help you find your balance. And zipping up through the belly, turn your chest towards the side, maybe take the top arm up towards the sky. If you'd like to add a thigh stretch, bend the lifted leg. With the hand, catch the foot. That might mean you draw the knee towards the chest. Hug in with that top leg to help you turn on the center of your body and to keep space through the back. And then kick that left foot back behind you. Gently release. Square your hips towards the mat, bringing both hands down to the ground. As you square, bend into the right knee, reach the right heel back so that you can shift the top of the thigh back, really grounding the femur bone back, and then extend the left leg towards straight. Start to bow forward into standing splits. Reach actively out here through both legs. Bring the left foot down to the mat. Come back to a forward fold. With your inhale, lengthen out long. Then bring the hands down, step back, down dog. Taking the final side, let the left foot come forward. Spin the right heel down. Again, start by bringing that left forearm up onto the left thigh. Press the thigh up, forearm down. Do you start to feel your hips shift back and your spine lengthen? Continuing to keep that connection, reach the left heel towards the back of the mat to keep grounding the femur bone back. And work that left leg towards straight. Notice whether the knee wants to hyperextend here. Keep a soft little bend at the joint, continuing to press the thigh up and the forearm down to help you extend the leg without collapsing the knee. Reach the left fingers down towards the mat. Maybe they touch, maybe they don't. Right arm up towards the sky. Look towards your belly here to draw the ribs in and send your sitting bones back and apart. And then around that deep support from your center, lengthen through the crown of the head, back and down through the bones of the legs. Take the top arm, reach it forward. Keep hugging both sides of the waist in here so that you can really lengthen in opposite directions through your spine. The right arm rise back up. The right hand come down onto your hip. And shifting to half moon, turn your gaze towards the floor for a balance and shift forward. If you have trouble lifting the back leg, take the left hand forward a little more so that you can really extend your spine in opposite directions. Hug that left hip underneath you to help turn your chest open. Take the right arm to the sky. Again, if you're playing with the thigh stretch, bend into the right leg, catch a hold of the foot or the ankle with the hand, and hugging in, broaden across the inner thighs to support the work through the hips and the back, and kick the foot back behind you. Gently release. And moving towards standing splits, bring the right hand down. Again, as you square the hip, take a little bend in the left knee. Reach back through the heel, through the top of the thigh, starting to work the leg towards straight. And then extending through the right leg, bow forward, taking the right leg up high, reaching out through the bones of both legs. Work the hips as much square as you can here. And release the foot back down to the mat. Come back into a forward fold. With your inhale, look forward and lengthen. With your exhale, bow and fold. Take a moment to pause, bringing your belly towards your thighs. Bring your hands onto your elbows, letting the upper body lengthen towards the ground. Let your head and your neck just dangle here. Maybe shaking the head. Yes. Gently no. Releasing any tension from the neck and the shoulders. And release the hands. Moving back up to standing, the hands come to the hips. Activate the legs as you rise. As we move towards hip openers, we'll start with a little more active pose. Shift the weight over into the right foot, really grounding through those three corners of the heel, the pinky toe, the big toe, to create a sense of space and support all the way up deep into the hip socket. And then as if you were making the number 4, bend the left knee, and being mindful of the knee, bring the left ankle above the right knee. That might mean the knee points forward, it might mean the knee softens out towards the side. Make sure there's no pain or discomfort at the knee joint here.
working this rotation open from the hip and the thigh. If you're steady here, you can start to soften into the right knee, moving towards a chair position. Hands can stay wherever they're comfortable. That could be on the hips. It could also mean bringing the forearms and the elbows down onto that left shin. Keep activating the foot here so that you can keep a sense of connection and alignment through the knee as you work into the outer hip. If you feel like you have the space to experiment, maybe to go deeper, let your fingers come down towards the mat. That might mean you have to bend the knee a little more. Hook the toes around your upper arm and start to extend that right leg, bowing into a forward fold. Give yourself a couple of deep breaths here. See if you can hug in with the outer hips and send the inner thighs and sitting bones back and apart to support the work in the outer hips. To come back up, soften again at the right knee. Reach the sitting bones back, zipping up through the belly. And when you're ready, rewind, bringing the hands back up onto the thigh, working with control to come back up to standing if you can. Then place the left foot back and down. Shifting the focus to the opposite side, and get connected down through that left foot, grounding the corners of the feet. Once you found a place where that leg feels steady and strong, lift the right knee. Again, being mindful of the knee, of course, of any tension in the hips or the back. Start to make a figure 4 shape with the legs. Keep flexing that right foot here, broadening the toes, using that to help keep the leg turning as a unit so there's no awkward twisting at the knee. If you have the space to go deeper, you can start to bend into the left knee and reaching the sitting bones back behind you. Maybe bringing the forearms down to rest on top of that right shin. See if you can connect up from the arch of the foot all the way through the inner thigh, using it to square the hips to send the sitting bones back and apart. And from your low ribs and your outer hips, reach back and out through the base of the big toe. If you feel like you have the space to play on this side, you can bring the fingers down to the mat. Again, tucking that left arm to the inside of the right foot, wrapping the toes around the upper arm. And connecting up through that left leg, and start to work it towards straight, and experimenting with how things feel through the outer hip, working to find a place that feels like the right amount of intensity for you. And when you're ready, start to release, rebending into that left knee, zipping up through your belly, hugging into the outer hips. Climb the forearms back up onto the right shin. With control, come back up to standing if you can. Then release the feet, coming back to Tadasana. And then when you're ready, make your way to a tabletop position. Continuing to work into the outer hips, we'll make our way towards lizard. Bring the right foot forward. Left knee will stay down on the mat. If it needs extra padding, please fold the edge of the mat. Bring both hands to the inside of the right leg, taking that right foot a little wider if you need to, so that you have space to expand across your chest. Hug the right knee towards your right shoulder. Reach the right hip back behind you, extending down through the left toes, up through the left heel, so that you're really activating the connections of the legs into the center of the body. And then coming up onto your fingertips, walk forward with your arms and upper body, continuing to reach back and down with the hips and the bones of the legs. The knee should stay stacked over top of the ankle here rather than shifting forward. When you're ready, tucking the toes under in the left foot, the left knee rise up, working to keep the hips low. And moving towards an inner thigh stretch, start to walk the hands around towards the left,
Pivot on the left toes to bring the left foot down, adjusting the space of the feet so that things feel comfortable with your knees and your hips. And walk the upper body around towards maybe a 45-degree angle. Hug in strongly with the legs. Start to reach your sitting bones, your inner thighs back and apart, sending the hips back behind you as you reach forward through the arms. And extend that left leg, left foot firmly down into the mat. Make sure both knees feel strong and supported here. Then to release, walk back around to the top of the mat, pivoting on those back toes. Let the left knee come down. Then release the right foot back to table. Coming to the left side, step the left foot forward. Again, setting up for lizard. The left foot move a little wider. If you need, bring both hands to the inside of the left leg. Hug the left knee in. Use that connection to help you reach the left hip back. It's almost as if your left thigh feels like it's getting longer. And as the hips square, come up onto your fingertips. Notice how this action of lifting up away from your palms engages the muscles in your center. And start to walk forward with the hands. And as you walk forward, keep reaching the hips back. Press down into the toes. The right knee rise. Again, noticing whether you shift the hips away from square, bringing them back more aligned with the front of the mat if that feels good. And then moving towards the inner thigh stretch, walk the hands around, pivot that right heel down, and taking the upper body around towards maybe a 45-degree angle, making sure the left knee stays pointing forward towards the top of the mat. Again, with the outer hips, reach the hip back behind you, upper body forward, and then extend the right leg firmly down into the mat. Again, making sure that the knees, the body feels supported here as you open into the inner thighs. Gently release. And lowering that right knee down, pivoting on the toes, coming back to a tabletop position. Bring the forearms down onto the mat. Bring your palms and your elbows together to touch as if you were making an arrow with the arms. Ground the elbows, the pinky fingers down, letting that help you to lift up through the shoulders and broaden across the collarbones. Hugging the elbows in, keeping this connection strong through the forearms. Walk your knees a little further back behind you and start to reach your hips back towards your heels. As you start to open across the upper back, you'll notice that the elbows want to slide apart. Keep hugging them in and grounding them down so that you stay supported through the ribs and the center of the body to open into the shoulders and the upper back. And release. Coming back to table. Bringing the stretch towards the upper back, moving towards a twist. Thread the left arm back behind the right. Bringing the left shoulder down onto the mat. Letting the outer edge of your skull or the side of one cheek come to rest down onto the mat. Check in with your back here. Backing off from the twist if you need to keep your back feeling comfortable. And hug in with the legs. Use that to help you draw a little more power in through the muscles of your core to keep your low back steady. And if you feel like you have the space to deepen into the twist, turn from the ribs and the upper body. And root that left shoulder strongly down into the ground. As you press down through the back of the hand, through the outer edge of the arm, let that help you to broaden through the upper back. And then keeping this sense of space through the center of the body and the low back, start to walk forward with the right arm. As you reach forward through the arm, reach back through the right hip. Walk the hands back in, release back towards tabletop position. And taking the twist the opposite direction, thread the right hand back behind the left. And the right shoulder, the right cheek will come down to rest on the mat. Hug in with the legs, ground down through the right shoulder, the back of the right arm, the back of the right hand, letting that help you to broaden the shoulder blade away from center to engage with the stretch across the upper back. Again, keeping the hips squaring as best you can. If it feels like you have deeper to go into the twist, you can turn your chest open a little more fully towards the left. And then when you're ready, starting to extend the left arm walk out long as you continue to reach back through the left hip. Let the hand move back in. Unwind back to tabletop position.
Working a little core strength and power, come back to downward facing dog. From your down dog, take your left leg up towards the sky. With your exhale, draw the knee in towards your chest. Shift forward to touch your knee to your upper arm. And then reach it up and back on your inhale. This next one, cross the knee across, touching it to the upper arm above the elbow on the right side, and send the left back. One final time, draw the knee in towards center, curl in with your nose, touching it to your knee, and then extend the leg back up. Let the left leg come down. Taking the right side, the right leg rise. With your exhale, shift forward, drawing it to touch the upper arm. Inhale it back behind you. Exhale it across to touch the left upper arm. Inhale it back. One final time, curl in towards center, touching your knee to your nose. And then release, extending the leg, bringing it back down onto the mat. Taking a second set, this time we'll draw a frame with the knee across both arms. When you're ready, take the left leg up, shift forward to touch. This time draw the knee down towards the left wrist, bring it across to the right one, up towards the right shoulder, down towards the right wrist, back to the left, up, and step it back. Taking the right side, take the right leg up, shift forward to touch, glide it down to the wrist, across to the left side, up towards the left shoulder, glide it down, bring it back to the right, up, and step it back. Going one more time to each side, take the left leg up, shift forward to touch, bring it down to the wrist, across to the right, up, lower it down, bring it back to the left, draw it up, and step it back. Last time, right leg rises, shift forward to touch, glide it down to the wrist, across to the left, bring it up, shift it down, bring it back to the right, bring it up, and step it back. Again, pause to rest. If you'd like, you can let your knees come down and shift your hips back towards your heels, coming into child's pose. When you're ready, come back to tabletop. As you make your way back up towards table, moving towards a thigh stretch, step the right foot forward. Left knee will stay down on the mat. If it likes extra padding, fold the edge of the mat over or add a pillow or a towel underneath it so that the knee gap feels cushioned. Take the left hand a little wider towards the left, right hand onto the right knee or right hip. Hug in with the legs and press down into the left toes to reach up through the left heel so that you've grounded that left femur bone towards the back. And then bringing your focus into the shoulders, draw that right shoulder towards the back so that it starts to become a shelf supporting the back of your heart as you turn your chest open towards the right. Keeping this twist, keeping this connection into the upper back, bend into the left leg, letting the weight shift forward to avoid the kneecap if you need, and reach back with the right hand to catch the left foot or use a strap if you need to make your arms longer. Make a unit here, drawing the heel and the hip on the left side together so that you're creating support for the knee and continuing to ground the femur bone back.
Draw the shoulders back here, opening through the chest. And if you feel like you have deeper to go, start to shift that unit forward. Maybe bringing the left forearm all the way down onto the mat. Maybe simply softening in that direction, depending on what feels best for your thigh. As you start to engage with the stretch through the thigh, make sure your knees feel comfortable here. As you find an edge that's comfortable for you, zip up through the belly, broaden the collarbones, turning your chest open towards the side. And then as if you had something back behind the shoulder blades, start to curl back as if you were doing cobra pose here. Letting the shoulder blades hug the back of the heart, expanding into the thighs. Give yourself a couple more breaths here. Then gently release the foot. Turn back towards the center of the mat and switch to the other side. And as you set yourself up, this time it will be the left foot that moves forward. Right knee will stay down. Kind of hit like some extra cushioning. Fold the mat. As you set yourself up, make sure your foot, your knee, your hip all stay in line, especially if you added padding for the knee. Once you've arrived, square the hips. Take the right hand a little wider towards the right. Bring the left hand onto the left knee or left hip. You want to end up with the hand underneath the shoulder or a little wider so that as you turn open, you feel supported. Hug in with both legs. Press down into the right toes to reach the right heel up towards the sky, allowing that to help adjust the connection between the leg and the hip. Drawing the shoulders back. Keeping that connection and engagement through the upper back. When you're ready, start to bend into the right leg. Again, maybe that means you shift forward a little bit to keep the weight off the kneecap. And reach back with the left hand to catch the foot. Activating the foot here, clicking your toes into the hands. Reach the right hip, the right heel towards one another. And then keeping that connection, if you have the space to go deeper, shift forward with the hips. Maybe bring the forearms down onto the mat. Turning your chest open towards the left. Keep drawing the shoulders back here and connecting through center so that you stay feeling spacious and aligned through the back as you work into the stretch of the thighs. Just as you did on the other side, once you've found your edge, draw the shoulders back, zip up through your belly, and maybe curl back a little bit, like a cobra pose here, adjusting that bottom arm if you need to. Working deeply into the thighs. And then gently release. And softening that foot back down. Making your way back up to table. Then from your table, make your way down onto your back. As you come to soften down, take a moment just to rest into the support of the mat. That might mean extending the legs out long, or you might stay with the knees bent to continue softening deep up into the center of your body. Give yourself a couple of deep breaths. Take a moment to enjoy the support of the floor, allowing your body to rest back into that support. Taking a moment to allow your body, your breath, your mind to resynchronize if they've moved apart from one another. And then making your way towards bridge, place the feet so that they're hip width distance apart and parallel to one another, with the ankles underneath the knees. Feel down through the legs here, making sure that you find a place where you feel like you can really connect down through the feet and where you can still soften the femur bones back away from your body rather than feeling them pull forward to bring your low back to the mat. Bring your hands to the top of the thighs here and push onto the bones of the legs. And let that help you to bring your pelvis more towards neutral. So that if you made a triangle with your hands touching the pointer fingers and the thumbs and laid it onto your pelvis, those points at your pubic bone and at your hip bones would be parallel to the floor, so that there's a space here where the low back finds its natural curve up away from the mat. To help support that space, hug in with the legs, press your heels apart, keeping the knees pointing straight up to bring a little more energy into the inner thighs and a little more lift and support both from the back body and the front body to keep the low back in a supported, stable position. And then moving towards bridge, bend at the elbows, bringing them alongside the ribs, pointing your fingertips up towards the sky. Press down through the elbows, down through the backs of the arms and the shoulders, and let that help to move the shoulder blades more towards the center of the body and to lift your heart. This is already a back bend, so if this is your edge, stay right here. If you have deeper to go, reach the sitting bones down, again continuing to hug in with the outer hips and to activate the inner thighs. Draw your belly in and up. Keeping that support for the low back, press down into the feet, taking the hips up. Maybe walk from side to side, drawing the shoulders further back. Maybe clasp the hands back behind you. Let your shoulder blades scoop up your heart here so that you're lifting your heart towards the sky. And hug in with the outer hips, keeping the thighs parallel, and reach the knees away from you. And then gently release. Let the hips come down, unclasping the hands. Let the arms soften back out by the sides. Taking a second cycle, connect from your feet this time. See if you can draw energy up from the arches of the feet towards your inner thighs and the center of the body. And reach energy down from your low ribs and your outer hips into the center of the heel and the base of the big toe, so that you're supporting space through the pelvis, the low back, and engagement and strength through the core. Starting again with robot arms, root back through the upper arms, finding that curve already here of the back bend. Sitting bones reaching down, shoulders reaching back and down, even the back of the head connecting down to bring a sense of strength and length to the neck. And then pressing into the feet, start to take your hips up. As your hips rise, notice what happens with your back. Find a place that feels balanced and comfortable for you. That might be much lower. It might be taking the hips up higher. If you're moving higher and you have the space to deepen, once you've drawn the shoulders back, extend the fingertips towards the heels, maybe even walking the feet in to bring your heels onto your fingertips or your palms, and rooting the shoulders back. Use that connection to curve into the back. Reach your tailbone here, long towards the toes without tucking your pelvis, so that you find a sense of extension through your spine. And then release the hands. Come all the way down to rest. Again, as you come to rest, you may need to walk the feet back out if you walked them in. And then taking one final back bend, either take one more round of bridge, one of those two variations where we just were. If you're feeling like you have the space to go deeper, you can play with coming into wheel. If you're coming into wheel, all three will start with the feet in the same position. Hip width distance apart, ankles underneath the knees, inner thighs active, back body, core body feeling broad, aligned, balanced with each other. If you're moving towards wheel, start with the right hand. Imagine you are holding a ball in the palm of the hand. Use that to activate the palm. And then scoop your palm towards you, letting that move the shoulder blade deeply onto the back and to engage the muscles in the upper back so that the shoulder blade feels supported. And then keeping that connection, turn the palm so that the fingers point towards the toes and the elbow points up towards the sky. Taking that same action on the left, activate the hand, scoop the palm towards you, letting that adjust the upper back, and keeping that supporting connection, place the palms. Ground down through the hands, ground down through the feet. Keep drawing the shoulders towards the mat as if you were hollowing out your armpits and activating the inner thighs, hugging in with the outer hips so that the back body stays broad, core stays active. Press down into your feet, let the hips rise up. Walk the feet in a little bit so that you're on the balls of the feet. Continuing to hug the legs in and root down through the hands, press into the balls of the toes, start to come up towards wheel. As you feel your way in, make any adjustments you need, hugging in with the legs to keep the back broad, pressing with the hands, drawing the shoulders back. Maybe let the heels extend towards the mat. And then with control, gently release, coming down onto the backs of the shoulders, laying your spine down long, walking the feet back out if you need to. To release into the shoulders, take the arms out towards the sides like a T. Ground the right shoulder back and down and reach out through the right fingers and turn your head towards the left so that you're broadening and expanding through the inner shoulder. Give yourself a couple breaths here, continuing to ground that right shoulder back to reach out through the right arm. Release back to center with your gaze. Softening the right arm, take the left side. Reach the left shoulder back into the mat, extend the left arm towards the left, and turn your gaze towards the right. Play with how you reach, how you ground the shoulder back, until you find the place where things feel like they're expanding across the chest, the shoulders, the neck. Let your head release back towards center. Let your arms come back down by your sides. Extend your legs out long. Take a moment just to feel down into the mat. Keeping the right leg extending, draw the left knee in towards you. Bring your hands onto your knee. Press the left knee into your hands and reach that left sitting bone towards your left heel until you feel the left hip shift away from your left shoulder. And then on the right side, ground the right thigh back and down and reach out from the right inner thigh towards the inner edge of the right heel, creating a balanced, steady place across the hips, the pelvis, the low back. And then keeping that balance, switch the clasp of the hands back behind the leg. Press your thigh into your hands. Keep reaching the sitting bone on the left side towards the left heel, continuing to lengthen through the back. And keeping the femur bone grounding back, start to extend the sole of the foot up towards the sky. Maybe the leg goes all the way straight. Maybe the knee stays bent. Maybe the leg shakes as you work to do both of these actions at the same time. As you get the leg straight, if you feel like you need more intensity for the hamstrings, you can walk the hands a little further up the leg, continuing to ground the femur bone back. Playing with where you feel the stretch in the hamstring, guide the leg a little further over towards the right, till the foot's about in line with the shoulder, just until you feel the stretch shift towards the outer belly of the hamstring. The leg come back to center, noticing how that shifts back towards the center belly of the hamstring. Then take the leg a little wider towards the left. It'll be about with the foot in line with the hip, that it shifts towards the medial, the inner part of the hamstrings, not the inner thigh. Let the leg come back up to center and moving towards a twist, either bend at the knee or keep the leg extended and let the leg come across and over. If it's comfortable for your back, you can let the foot come all the way down to the ground. And whether the leg is extended or the knee is bent, root the outer edge of the right hip down into the mat to help stack the left hip on top of the right. As you find a place that's supported for the low back, turn from the ribs and the upper body, letting the left shoulder soften back. Maybe the left arm extends towards the left. If that's not comfortable or too deep of a twist, you can let your hand rest on your hip and let just the shoulder soften back instead. Again, find whatever amount of twist feels good in your body. To release, let the left leg rise back up. And let the left leg come all the way down to the mat, softening back into the support of the earth. As you let the left leg soften down, notice any difference in sensation and awareness between the two sides.
And then coming to the right, draw the right knee in and let the hands come onto the knee, pressing the shin into your hands, reaching that right sitting bone towards your right heel, grounding that left femur bone back and down, working to find a place that feels balanced across both sides of your hip and your back, adjusting as you need to find that space. And then switching the clasp of the hands, interlace the hands back behind the thigh. Press your thigh into your hands so that you're reaching not just from the hip and the sitting bone, but from the back of the leg to ground the femur bone back. Again, keep working to find a balance between the two sides, extending out from the inner thigh on that left side towards the inner heel. When you're ready, start to extend the leg towards straight. And as you extend, keep pressing the thigh back into your hands as you work up through the sole of the foot. Again, letting the leg shake if it needs to work both those actions at the same time. If you need a deeper stretch, you can walk the leg a little closer towards you, drawing it in. And then just as you did on the other side, experimenting with the 3 bands of the hamstrings. That right leg come across over towards the left until you feel the stretch shift towards the outer band of the hamstring. Again, working as best you can to root the thigh back and to extend through the sole of the foot. Let the leg come back up to vertical and shift it gently over towards the right, again feeling for the place where the stretch shifts towards the inner part of the hamstring, not the inner thigh. Continuing to ground the thigh back and work the leg towards straight. Let the leg come back to center. Again, moving towards the twist, either keeping the leg extended or bending at the knee. Take the leg across and over towards the left. As you turn towards the side, come as much onto the outer edge of the left leg, of the left hip, as feels comfortable to you. Again, ground down through the left leg and hip to stack the hips on top of one another. And then staying supported here from the center, turn as much as is comfortable for you through your ribs and your upper body towards the right. Gently release, letting that leg rise back up. And let it soften all the way back out long along the mat. Take time here to really feel into the support of the floor. Taking a final stretch for the outer hips, draw both knees in towards you. And as the knees come in, cross the legs so that the right knee is over top of the left and the knees are stacked on top of one another. Flex your feet, and with your hands, grab a hold of what you could reach. That could be the ankles or the outer edges of the feet. It might also be the backs of the thighs. You can even use a strap to reach for the ankle if it's a little too far away. Keeping the feet active helps to keep the knees in line. Use that support to help you work into the hips. As your knees come towards you, reach your sitting bones towards the mat. If you have deeper to go into the stretch, kick the feet out towards the sides, pressing the shins, the hands into one another to help you keep lengthening and extending long through the spine. Gently release. Switching to the other side, cross the left knee over top of the right. Again, as you set yourself up, flex the feet, catch a hold wherever you can. Use that connection between the hands and the shins to really reach the hips and the sitting bones away from your heart. You want your spine to feel long here. Resist the tendency to peel the hips up away from the mat. Gently release. And as you extend the legs out long, take a moment to scan through your body. If there are any final movements, postures, poses that your body is calling out for, please feel free to take them, so that as you come to rest on your mat, you feel like you can soften fully and completely down into that support. As you start to let go, let your eyes close. And as you soften your gaze, see if you can let your eyelids get heavy, so that your eyes feel like they soften deeply back into their sockets. Let your tongue melt away from your teeth, softening into the bottom of your mouth. And let your forehead get smooth and soft. And let that release through the upper body start to spread down, passing down along your neck, out through your shoulders, down your arms, continuing down along your spine, through your back, releasing through the hips, the legs, letting that softness past your knees, and finally move all the way out through the feet, until through releasing and softening, you've connected deeply into the support of the earth. As you let go through this outer layer of skin and muscles and bones, let that help you to turn your focus, your awareness more deeply into your breath. So that as this outermost layer softens, you can use your breath to turn your awareness more and more deeply into the spaces of your inner body, into the light of your heart, the rhythm of your breath, the spaces inside your body, so that your mind too can soften as if it were pooling into the back of your skull, letting these different layers of experience, mind, body, and heart, soften back into a place that feels more balanced, more aligned,